Welcome to another episode of Discussion Room 95. I hope everyone is doing well and okay in their homes, healthy, and staying indoors, especially in this pandemic today. I want you guys to go grab your popcorn or your snacks, your drinks, because tonight is gonna be a juicy discussion. Because today we have three guests, and I'm pretty sure they're unfamiliar to you, their faces, because they are actually our high esteemed student leaders of the Big Three schools. Woo! Okay, so let me introduce to you them one by one. So first we have JB Bejarin of the Ateneo de Manila University. He's currently taking up a majors in political science and masters in public management in Ateneo. JB was the former Vice President and Administrative Affairs Head of the Loyola School Sanggunian from 2017 to 2019, and now currently the President of the same student council. So say hi, JB.
Hi, everyone.
Everyone, welcome, JB.
Hello.
So that's JB. Next up, we have Sean Thakur of University of the Philippines. Now, Sean is a graduate of BS Economics in UPD, and he is now currently a second year taking up MA Philippine Studies. He was the chairperson, former vice chairperson, and counselor of the University of the Philippines Diliman Student Council. So everyone, welcome Sean Thakur.
Hi.
Thank you. Okay. And last but not the least, we have Lance Dela Cruz of De La Salle University. He is currently in his fourth year, taking up BS Applied Economics, major in Financial Economics and Accountancy. He lobbied for the lowest tuition fee increase in recent history, accredited DLSU's first LGBT organization, filed the 14th petition to the Supreme Court against the anti-terror law, and is a former intern of the office of Senator Risa Hontiveros. And Lance!
Everyone. Hello.
Yeah. And I am Holly Pantaleon, your very basic UA&P student, being our main host or moderator for today's discussion. I'm actually part of a student, what do you call this? A varsity, a dance varsity. And parang what we are lacking now in our schools would be school spirit. Well, we are a pretty young school, UA&P. We've been around for only around 24, 25 years compared to kayo mga ilang centuries sa kayo. Old school, literally. Okay. Tapos, and we noticed that during our competitions, it's really hard to what do you call this? To bring people to us to watch our competitions, to support. So how do you define school spirit? Because especially coming from the Big Three, parang ang laki ng population nyo, and we always see during UA&P, ang daming audience. It's something that we don't really experience. So please enlighten us on what it's like so that we can actually focus our goal towards that as well.
Well, I think kasi school spirit, that's different levels. Like iba-iba yung levels ng school spirit. Like there's a school pride that you show during UAP games. There's the values that you carry every day. Mm-hmm. Then there's the usual things that you do. The pride that you have when you see your university in the news, mga ganong things. So it has different levels. So I think that as part of the student government, what we do is we try to make sure that people have access to see those things, they have things to be proud of. Like no doubt, guys. Sorry, no doubt that our athletes are really good. So it's really a source of pride. So yeah. in that aspect, what we do is we try our best to make sure that our athletes have the support that they deserve. So that's one. Then another one is we try to make sure that our university is at the forefront of issues. I filed with JB and Sean yung petition sa Supreme Court. So they were with me too dun sa petition na yun. So these things they bring a sense of pride, a sense of our students value these things. Oh, and for example, another one is when LaSalle accredited sa LGBT org. A lot of people were happy about that, and they really see the value of inclusivity.
They're proud of it.
Yeah.
So that's where the school spirit comes from, when they feel proud of their school, of their institution. How about you, Sean? How's the school spirit in UP, being a very liberal institution?
Yeah, actually for UP, parang I'm just trying to backtrack like everything you said earlier. Kasi di ba, you were telling na 20-something years pa lang, si UA&P. And then,
Yeah.
for
20
our
something
case,
years.
like may mga 100, may mga ganung level ng tanda yung institutions. And,
Tanda.
well, I feel like,
Harsh.
initially, I wanted to actually give an answer that's coming from a standpoint about branding. And I think you'd know something about this as an integrated marketing major. But I feel like I'd just answer school spirit with something about the university's values. Like for example, in UP, the values that's been carried by the university and the institution for years is honor and excellence, shaping minds that shape the nation. So those are like big words, honestly, that we can only see on websites, on like social media posts. But honestly, I guess it translated to something more since it was really ingrained with the culture of the institution. Like for example, I see school spirit not just in UA&P games, not just in triumphs, not just in I guess certain victories, I guess, in the school's history. I can also see the school spirit with moments where the institution was at its lowest, and the people who are part of the institution were actually feel filled with that spirit, that they actually took action. So for example, one thing that is not actually good but is actually showing of the school spirit of UP was Diliman Commune during the martial law period, when the students, faculty, the staff, the community barricaded the whole university against state forces. It can be shown when the students actually spoke out when issues regarding kabataang barangay, an institution during the martial law period, was actually held an event in the university, and our university president was there. So that's school spirit for me, I guess. Speaking out not just in good times but also in bad times.
Yeah. Just to continue from what Sean said, parang the sense of community is how much we choose the school regardless of it winning or losing. Parang kung natalo naman yung Ateneo sa UA&P, kakanta pa rin naman
LaSalle
ako.
versus
Parang
Ateneo.
diba?
Oh no.
UP versus parang,
UP versus LaSalle. Oh gosh. Even I watch a UA&P games. Grabe.
In that sense na parang, I remember nung October we had protests for sexual harassment. I asked my professors, I asked our administrators, is it the first time that this happened na ganito, na ito sa organic protest? May nag-post lang sa Twitter na mag-rally tayo sa harap ng Dela Cruz.
Then everyone just went.
Yeah, everyone just went. And then that wasn't all happy. And parang that was such a hurting process for the entire community. Pero parang that's a necessary steps to take towards justice. And that's what I mean by choosing the school, whether it's winning or losing. It's not to be biased towards certain people in the university or to say na the branding of the university is good. Rather, it's about the underlying values that Ateneo stands for. Kasi I guess that's where school spirit comes from naman. It's a rich tradition, parang what you've been saying. It's built naman over time. For example, me, I'm only 4 years in college, then 4 years in high school, 6 years in grade school. Pero parang ang daming mga people who went before us. And parang people who will succeed us in the university. So parang our lives in after Ateneo, parang that also defines the university branding and the university spirit. Kasi parang kung ikakahiya natin yung school natin after, parang that also says a lot about the education that we received, di ba? So parang I guess it's really something built over time, that sense of community spirit. Yeah.
And I guess like, you know, listening to all of your sorry, did you have something to say, Lance? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I really like what you said na it's not we don't value our university because they always make the right decisions or they always do the right thing. It's because they gave us this set of values, this set of expectations for society. And when bad things happen,
it's not mutually exclusive. Yeah.
From the university, be it about sexual harassment, be it about mental health, be it about academic freedom. You know, these things it's so easy to take it for granted.
Yes.
So because that's the things. Those are the things that they preach. No, inclusivity, access to education, and when they make decisions that we don't agree with necessarily, it's not because we hate our university. It's because we want better, we demand better, and I think
yes,
the same principle for government, for the school to provide. Yeah,
it's for improvement. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, with what everyone has said, like everyone gave in really good inputs, and I guess I wouldn't have thought it that way if you guys didn't say it. But we know that school spirit plays a huge role in the respective environments of your school. But then I'm sure like there are differences, right? Like UP and Ateneo, like how is it different? Or from Ateneo to LaSalle, what do you think is your unique selling point coming from an advertising perspective, right? So when it comes to environment, go ahead. I mean, we're all here to learn from each other. We're all here to learn from each other. So yeah, what is your USP for like the environment in your respective schools? What common problems do you face with yeah, take it away, go.
Go marketing class.
I think naman, I'm just, you know, trying to relate.
Well, siguro I'll start with UP, pero ano lang, parang I guess it's something that's common like with other universities also that honestly, even if like for example you're a freshman and your dream school is UP and you're about to enter it, I guess one thing that's common whether you like your institution or not is it's really hard to love it, like given that we face a lot of struggles. Like for example, here in U, it is not a unique selling point, of course, because as a public institution, we always the funding, we always face different threats to our education. But then at the end of the day, something UP has existed for more than 100 years, and I guess the reason for its continued existence, even in the face of the threats that it hurdled for the past years, I guess it's more of the community sense of collective fighting. I guess it's more of the community actually knowing that it has the power to shape the institution and shape the public through its collective action. And I think that's the unique selling point of UP because, again, we encounter a lot of problems. We encountered a lot of problems, and I know we'll continue to face a lot of problems, especially now with the remote setup. So,
yeah,
I guess it's the unique selling point. So, if a friend is listening to this podcast, welcome to UP.
Welcome to UP and enjoy it, you know, enjoy the ride.
Kumbaga, let's struggle together. So that's
wow. It. Yes, I love that. Oh, how about JB?
For Ateneo, I guess it's the tradition of the university that yun yung unique selling point ng Ateneo. Kasi parang when you say Ateneo, there's a certain set of stereotypes that people already
Right,
relate
right.
with it, whether
Right.
it's positive or whether it's negative. Pero parang I just want to speak about these stereotypes. Siguro. Parang people look at Ateneo kasi parang it's like the elite university or parang it's synonymous to parang stature. But I guess what I want to say right now is parang first Ateneo is Ateneo because of its Jesuit tradition. And Jesuit tradition is one that centers on being persons for others, one that centers on cura personalis or personal care, one that centers on magis or being more. And when we say more and when we say persons for others, that does not separate us from society, from Philippine society. That does not separate us from the realities that we face in the world. Kasi parang the point of liberal arts, Jesuit education is to make Ateneo have a purpose in the greater scheme of things. And I think that's what people fail to see as Ateneo's unique selling point. Kasi syempre, when you're about to enter the university, you only see the surface level of how, not even Ateneo, pero parang how society has branded Ateneo over time.
Yeah.
Pero parang after going through Ateneo education, you only get to realize na, okay, that's the point of the experiences I've had in Ateneo. Na, well, I admit it's even a bubble to what is faced outside the gates of Katipunan. Kasi parang like what my parents would tell me nga, parang Ateneo is just too perfect to be the real world. It's not perfect, pero parang if you compare it to the realities outside the gates, parang that's what you mean by down from the hill talaga. Not that you're supposed to be higher in the first place. Pero parang the hill shouldn't be there, no? So parang that's what persons for others means. And that's what being an Ateneo student means, at least for me.
Yeah. And that's really very different from what I expected. And I understand where you're coming from kasi parang, you know, I also hear, I'm not from Baguio. I'm not from Manila. But like, you know, I still hear those things about Ateneo. And it's very nice that you cleared it out. And for me naman, LaSalle, I don't know, just a personal opinion, parang LaSalle is in between UP and Ateneo. So how is it like in LaSalle? Because, what's the gist of it there?
Well, I really can't, our students are as diverse as as any other university.
Yeah.
But what I guess that our starting point is that, well, all the three universities here have world-class educations. We have centers of excellence. We have programs that are centers of excellence. We have really great professors that will leave a lasting impact on your professional career, or if you decide to pursue a business, or if you decide to enter government. But I think that what the selling point is that what you learn is not limited to the four walls of the classroom. You have organizations to hone you at a very young age on how to deal with people, and how to lead, how to manage, how to budget, how to organize events. And you know, these things that we take for granted the university level because we think it's so easy to learn it, it's so easy to do it. When we go out into the real world, these are the things that help give us an edge. And I guess that one other selling point is the ability of the Sallians to empathize with people. When I started working, I realized that I was comfortable talking to anyone. Like I was comfortable talking to anyone, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they came from. So there's that, and a sense of, I don't know, what LaSalle gave me is a sense of urgency, a sense of pride and a sense of responsibility to my country. You would see lately, nakita niyo yun na may mga banners yung LaSalle sa harap ng gate nila na may media demanding action from the government, whatever it may be, on various issues. So yeah.
That's well, na-inspire talaga ako kasi in UA&P I believe that our education is it's really great. Sorry, we specialize in liberal education, so we focus on the human, on the person, right? And like what Lance said, we have world-class education. We have professors who are experts in their fields to come and to teach us. And for example, see JB, we also get those stereotypes na UA&P is like this, UA&P is like that. But what people fail to see is what happens inside the university. And I know that UA&P, being a relatively young school, is facing different problems as you guys. We have common problems like, stuff that relate to national issues and stuff like that. But when it comes inside the university, there's a huge problem for us would be student apathy. So the reason why I say this is because, like, maybe I think it was last year or 2 years ago, there was a failure of elections because people did not vote. So is in your USG ba, or your student council, is it democratic? Yeah.
If I may start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the term student apathy, I disagree with it. Like when I hear that term, I can't help but agree with the notion of students are apathetic, they don't care. It's simply not true that they don't care.
Personally, Ateneo shares the same problem. I also wouldn't call it student apathy. Rather, I'd call it there's a certain disconnect or gap
Okay.
in how students feel involved, or parang how students feel like they have a direct stake in voting. Kasi parang when there's not figures na mababa yung voter turnout, parang the question to ask is not really why are they apathetic, but rather parang where's the disconnect coming from?
And
parang,
exactly.
Bakit hindi sila bumoboto? Siguro naman may magandang dahilan. Kasi parang like what Lance said, sino namang estudyante ang hindi gugustuhin na maging safe yung school nila from sexual harassment or from high tuition hikes, no? I looked at the USG page ng UA&P. Your voter turnout 44% to 50%. Parang ganun yung average per course.
School.
Per school.
Yeah.
That's actually even higher than Ateneo's. Parang I won't lie. How many voted last election? Only 1,000 out of 8,000. That's 12.5%, if I'm not mistaken. It's really low.
Yeah.
And I think it's a hard problem to parang attack in 1 year. Pero
That's
parang
true.
in my 3 years in being here, parang what I realized was these problems have persisted over time. So parang students have felt disengaged, at least in Ateneo, with how the student government has been. Second, parang it's really a systematic thing. Kasi parang people wouldn't call their student government useless if parang they had a direct say on how things were run. Or parang there was a more natural approach on how to go about it. Parang that's why we've been taking steps to parang rebrand and reintroduce Sanggu, not really as one of stature, but one of trust. Parang a friend that they can really approach to. Kasi parang sa Ateneo naman, parang dapat level yung playing field eh. Parang like what I've been talking about, community is what we really cherish. So parang to have this highfalutin body doesn't make sense and is not palatable to the students. Then another thing that I saw was the quality of the candidates running and the issues that are being talked about.
That plays a major role also. Yeah.
Kasi for example, magpaplastikan lang yung candidate. Or parang kung isa lang yung candidate na tatakbo. Example, when I ran, 5 naman kami for VP. Pero parang sa president position, isa. Then dun sa actually I ran on special elections. Kasi the first round of elections, abstain 1 for president, vice president, and 1 of the 4 representative slots. So parang that means that the voters outright voted abstain because there was something wrong with parang the crop running. That's what I mean.
They don't
so parang,
trust. They don't trust.
There's a multitude of issues surrounding parang what some students immediately call student apathy. But I wouldn't blame the students. It's really there's really a reason behind why they don't vote. Kasi for example, even when I was campaigning, if I didn't campaign room to room, students wouldn't know na election. Parang the first question I asked every time I entered the classroom, alam niyo ba na election na next week? Tapos lahat sila hindi nagtaas ng kamay kasi no one knew. So parang that's a sense then with universities that are big. Parang it's really like a society in a sense na you really need to communicate well. Otherwise, you can't get your message across.
How about you, Sean? Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, actually, yung point ni JB earlier about yung room to room. Yeah, as in sobrang, di ba, like, it's a struggle sa mga nag-run for a position, especially for universities na talagang, di ba, like, different buildings, different rooms, time slots. So parang, you only have a few minutes, 2 minutes at most
to connect,
per class. To connect sa plans, tell them to vote, everything. So parang, for me kasi, sa amin actually sa Diliman, mababa din yung voter turnout last elections. I think it was at around 40% lang of the total voters. Imagine that's almost like a few thousand students only who voted. So parang, and kahit na yung trend ng voter turnout sa amin is bumababa, I don't really blame it dun sa mga estudyante.
Students, yeah.
I think same with what they already said, na it's not apathy. Kasi meron talagang reason and mostly na-connect ko siya. Although, I'm not gonna claim that it's the primary reason because it's not a study. But based on my observation, parang it's
very
mostly,
technical.
For example, yeah, like to be honest, for example, something crucial happened. Kunyari may isang issue about students' rights na nagkaroon ng parang palpak or nagkaroon ng fiasco among the student council. Kasi parang as in yung mga like sessions na may iyakan, sigawan, that happened. Like,
Grabe. Wow.
Sobrang malala siya. 6 a.m. na tapos ng GAs. That happens. And mostly, kapag may mga ganong kalalaking issue, isa siya sa mga reasons din bakit, siguro for me personally, na parang, ay, ba't ganon? Bakit ganon yung nangyayari with the student council? Pero, meron namang mga times na they actually parang get encouraged to vote. Kasi for example, ngayon sa remote learning, I think this is a challenge na sa mga councils na talagang to stand with the students and to uphold students' rights and welfare. Kasi kung ano man yung maging turnout ng learning, what the student councils did for the students they represent, ay matatandaan nila yon sa susunod na elections. And syempre, nandun nakatatak sa isip nila kung nung time na nangailangan sila, nandun ba yung student council and nagkaroon ba ng difference yung ginawa ng student council. Yun yung first actually. That's like one of the two things that I remember pag sinasabi apathy. Although I don't agree with it, na parang una sa voters, second sa issues. Kasi sinasabi na like, walang paki sa issues, kaya hindi masyadong na-voice out yung concerns, which is actually wrong. In a sense na first, communication, paulit-ulit yan, na kailangan talaga may connect yung student council dun sa students. Meaning, meron kang direct link with them na talaga, mafe-feel ng students na you're one of them, na hindi ka nabago as a person when you entered that position, when you became a council member, that you're still the same person who also experiences those things na nararamdaman nila. And of course, yung sa issues naman, parang yun din kasi yung misconception sa student council na parang like we should do away with it being an event organizer. Kasi a student council is so much more.
Relate si Lance.
Yeah,
Sobra.
diba? Kasi, and honestly like, I can confidently say na at least sa alam ko sa big four schools, including Ateneo and Salle, ay talagang nandun yung clear vision ng student council for the past year na dalhin yung issues closer to the students. Kasi we're not disconnected from Philippine society na hindi naman porket nasa loob ka ng university, you're safe. You're safe from the anti-terror law, you're safe from discrimination across all
That's
fronts.
true.
Na dapat, even in the university setting, nare-realize yon. Kasi diba, going back to your question earlier, you said na most students think na ano ba yung concern ko dyan, like what parang ano ba yung like why should I like care about these issues? And yung student council ultimately, together with the students of course, should answer that collectively na parang trying to organize the students into bringing them dun sa pag-attain nyo ng goals as e-council. Kasi diba, parang kung ano man yung tawag sa isang student council, like student government, student organization, student council, laging may student. So, hindi talaga pwedeng nawawala yun. Yun yung sobrang essential na hindi dapat nakakalimutan. So,
totoo.
Yun, I guess that's it. Na parang how we address that. It's through really rallying the students together with
what the three of us, what we're trying to say, it all boils down into one term, to one word. It's empathy. Empathize with the struggles of the students.
Yes.
How we make them feel included. How we rally them. Yeah.
Our new motto, empathy, not apathy. So there's a consensus between all three of you, which is like there's medyo walang such thing as student apathy, and there are a lot of factors that causes such behavior, but it's not exactly the student's fault. That wraps up our first part of the discussion, and we'll have a 5-minute break and we'll get back right to you. And we're back from our little commercial. So just to parang summarize what we just talked about, we were talking about the student apathy issue in the big three, which is not really non-existent. So now did you guys when running for your positions, were you a part of political parties?
Yes.
Or did you run independently?
I ran independently.
Wow. Okay. How about Sean?
Political party.
Political party as well. Okay. So, well, in UA&P, we actually have 2 political parties, and actually madrama. I don't know. Politics in general is very madrama. So, diba? I don't know if you guys agree with me, but what should be the role of political parties in your respective universities, or what do you think should be the role of political parties?
Can I start if it's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I was part of the executive board of a political party last year before I became president. So I was the vice president for external affairs of DLSU Tapat. So it's DLSU's progressive political party. I think that the role of political parties is to shape the perspective and ideology of students, to demand a certain set of reforms to the university and to the country, and to embody these reforms and the things they do, whether they have events, whether they lobby for things in government or to the USG. Because actually our political party since 2008, minority kami. Like we always lost. 2008 until 2018. 2019 until 2019. So it's been 11 years since so when we ran, we became a majority after 11 years. So for 11 years, that's what we've been trying to do. We've been hounding the majority to have these demands, to have an LGBT or to prioritize mental health, to reform the sexual harassment policies of the university. And now that we're in the majority, we're walking the talk na ginawa namin. So we did those things. We pushed for reforms, for better mental health access, for LGBT rights, for for reforming sexual harassment policy. So I think that it all boils down to, having shaping the perspective and ideology of students, and it has an effect really. It before, kasi I remember before when I was freshman, there were students who were still questioning LGBT rights, questioning the SOGI bill, if it was really right. But when I became president, I don't know if di ko lang siya naririnig anymore, but organizations were almost unanimously supportive of our LGBT initiatives. So that's one result of it. Yeah.
How about Sean?
I guess this is really something na sobrang init lagi. At least sa
Ay, facts yan.
Diba?
Facts.
Yeah, kasi
nasa freedom wall.
as in sobrang tight lagi ng syempre kasi ang political parties, at least here in Diliman, talagang nandun yung pagbitbit ng prinsipyo. May binibitbit yung kada isa na principle na sobrang anchored to strong institutions. And actually, marami din kasi sa mga marami talaga sa mga formations sa university ay connected, for example, with national organizations. So talagang very big, very old, very diverse, at very principled yung bit-bit na mga campaigns ng ganitong parties. And siguro disclaimer na this is personal ha. As in sobrang personal lang siya. Parang,
disclaimer guys.
actually parang for me naman kasi from what I've seen since nung freshie ako, tagal na. Parang yung role talaga ng political parties ay very crucial. Especially kapag merong times na sobrang laki nung nangyayari sa national situation. Actually, even naman sa university situation, ang laki ng naging ambag ng political parties. Pero siguro mas i-highlight ko yung sa national. Kasi for example, with the different different mobilizing strategies, different discussions with the students. I guess before kasi nakikita natin 'di ba na parang student councils yung at the forefront na talagang dapat kayo yung gagawa nito, kayo yung gagawa niyan. Pero kasi as time passed by, parang nandiyan yung dagdag na kumbaga responsibility with the student councils na kailangan students, yung people, yung community. So, yung political parties in a way, parang sila lalo yung nag-e-enhance dun sa pag-a-activate nung mga estudyante dun sa university setting. Kasi sa totoo lang, parang, ayun yung, siguro babalik ako dun sa term na parang yung organizing. Kasi, how will students get organized, diba? Hindi lang naman siya through the initiatives ng student council. Siyempre, vital talaga doon yung political parties. And I think, siguro na lang, parang in terms of discourse, I guess, ito din yung isa sa mga ito din yung, I think, nakaka-relate din naman yung iba dito na parang in terms of certain issues na for example, meron talagang differences in stances. For example, sa ano ba yung mga siguro sa amin sa Diliman dati yung yung Students Magna Carta o kaya naman yung issues with kunyari ngayon actually sa anti-terror law, parang kahit sabihin natin na meron tayong kung meron tayong broad unity na junk terror law, meron talagang differences ideologically sa how we see and assess the issue. And not just issues, of course, even Philippine society, talagang may iba't ibang yung tinatawag nating suri ng lipunan, itong mga parties na ito. Personal opinion that I've seen.
Yes. Thank you for sharing your personal opinion. That's what DR95 is all about. It's discourse. And now we have JB, who actually didn't run with the political party. Now, that makes me really wonder why. So, can you give us a little insight as to, your reasons to running independently?
Yeah. Like, to describe na lang din siguro how the student political landscape is in Ateneo the past few years. Parang we only have one accredited political party. So parang that's why siguro it's natural for me to run independent. Kasi parang I didn't belong to that party. So parang,
okay.
siguro parang for Lance or for Sean, parang yun talaga yung inaabangan every election. Parang sino yung pinatakbo ng tapat or sino yung pinatakbo ng kaisa. And parang it becomes
Wow.
the contentious issue, and parang that's what makes the elections parang a really hot topic during those times, no?
Yeah.
So pero parang in Ateneo de Manila, parang what I've noticed talaga really is parang during elections, wala talaga yung parang hindi naman sa wala, pero parang the ideological lines are not that present yet. Parang that's the point I want to make about political parties. Kasi like what you said, di ba? Parang politics, so madrama, di ba? Pero parang
Yeah,
at the end of
that's
the day,
personal
parang,
opinion also.
yeah, no, pero parang it makes sense. It makes sense. Pero parang at the end of the day naman, parang, and also as a pol sci major, politics naman kasi it's power play eh. At the end of the day, I think everyone partakes in this power play. Pero parang at the end of the day, some just get more of the slice of the pie rather than others. So parang as a person who didn't run and under any political party, parang I just see my role here as parang how do you give more slices to those who don't have a slice? How do you activate political discourse to a point that you could reach a political system na something like UP or something like Salle na parang maganda yung political discourse. I think that's what political parties should be bringing to a table. Parang more than political alliances that could easily shift or sway based on personal allegiance.
Yeah.
Parang that we look at political parties as really one of principles. And parang yun yung maging basis ng pagbuo ng political party. Kasi parang with these principles, parang na-activate yung discourse. My hope naman in Ateneo is parang even as we strive to enrich the discourse more in the student body, parang we don't go lost in the process of involving the student body directly. Parang those shouldn't be mutually exclusive. Dapat sabay siya. Kasi, for example, right now, parang a lot of students are still unaware of the issues. I at least parang I think what the potential of technology is to really make students aware of the issues. Pero parang with how saturated technology is also, parang sometimes technology becomes a hindrance also to real discourse. So parang how do we get to these ideal points, no? Pero parang at the end of the day, parang that's what I want political parties to look like. Parang rather than parang kapartido, yung parang term. Parang parang magkaparehas tayo ng prinsipyo. Tapos ito yung dinadala natin sa table of discourse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree with with JB. Kasi that's I think that's the challenge of our generation because I think that political parties in the Philippines are essentially parang kapital sa malakas. And that's what we've been trying to that's what we've been trying to change. Well, when I was a member of a political party last year, that's what we've been trying to instill, that we have a set of principles, an ideology that we follow, and we use it as a guiding compass in the things that we do. So, yeah. So, yun ang talagang ini-instill namin. And really happy na we're on the same page with Sean. Yeah.
That's nice. I think I just want to share like a little kwento. Kasi my brother also ran with a political party, and the reason why I said it was so madrama because it was grabe. It was so crazy, and the experience is really different. And then I think from then on, that's when I realized that maybe politics isn't for me. It's really it's a very heavy task to take on to, and only a few can really parang bagay lang siya sa
But you deserve to be part of the table. Sorry.
Okay.
Never forget that.
Yes, of course. Like everyone else in the university. Now, I know that being in the student council, there are a lot of obstacles from students to, again, political parties, other organizations. Now, I want to ask you, how do your administrators or your higher ups, the management, affect your work in student politics? Because in UA&P, uh, we are very conservative university.
You guys aren't allowed to wear shorts in school.
No, we have a super strict.
The dress code na bawal lang shorts in school. Pero what's the point?
Do you have uniform?
No,
It's
so 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 oh my god, so in our university, yeah, so actually our university, we have a super duper strict dress code.
Okay.
We can't wear shorts if we're not in the sports building, and then in the sports building there are like certain shorts pa na you can wear. We can't wear sleeveless, we can't wear.
Nyo kapag mas maiksi yung shorts nyo, or ano, like, does it have an effect on the grade? Like, does the administration
we get
bago ang performance ng student kapag
yeah. Yeah, diba? Parang same thoughts, but it's like, it's more of like, we get disciplinary action kasi, and it's so.
What's the reason why? Do they like maybe?
Did they explain? Yeah, they explained kasi parang they're saying na we're preparing you for your work environment, because in the work environment you're not really gonna wear those things. So when you go to our school, you can see a lot of us were in corporate, because business school naman talaga. si Sean.
The thing is, hindi naman kayo pala sa classroom eh. You guys have organizations. You guys have external.
Yeah.
So I think that you should treat the whole university as an office. It should be a community. These are things that actually it's almost every year we try to challenge the dress code in our respective universities. I'm sure that Sean and JB can relate. And out of the three of us, Salle has the relatively stricter dress code. It's not strict, but I think it needs to be more
inclusive.
Yeah. And I think for the dress codes, like us, it's always been an issue. The students, like, we voice out our opinions on on issues such as dress codes. Like, I don't know if you guys heard about the sexual harassment issue in UA&P. And like, it's so weird because even our alumni, they were very vocal about it, but then it's actually from the management side na kulang, like, we want something from you, we want tuition discounts because it's blended learning, but we're not receiving anything. We're not, parang kumbaga, we feel like we're not being taken care of in that sense. Sorry,
like discount or rebate sa tuition.
it's funny because they said na parang sa miscellaneous nag-discount sila ng onte, but when you look at our price or how much we have to pay, it's still like 90,000, 100,000, and it's like, what? Like, are we paying that much for online classes, diba? So that's where we're coming from, because we want to learn from you guys then on how your administration does it.
Yeah. Well, for LaSalle, we have this document called the Students' Charter. So the Students' Charter is a document that's recognized by the entire university, enumerating the rights of the student. So the right to organize, the right to be represented.
Yeah.
So these things are included in our university's culture. So whenever there's a big change in the university, if they want to increase the tuition, they need to consult. If there are reforms in terms of academic policy, they need to consult the students. So we don't always agree with the administration. There will always be clashes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There are times that I cannot reiterate this. There are times that the arguments get heated, but that's how discourse is supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's how you get the best idea. That's how you get the best system, the best policy, if you hear out the different sectors.
Yeah.
And it's important, and I think that it's also reflective in how we have policies in the university. We have an open line with the administration. They hear out our ideas, our sentiments, our concerns, and yeah. So in Salle, we don't always get what we want, but we always
Mhm.
deliver what the students deserve and what.
Yes.
And as much as
That's
possible,
great.
we try to get the best possible outcome for them.
Incoming USG, please take note. Joke. Nagparinig. Okay. Do you guys have any other input on this situation? Because, administrators talaga, they have a huge influence on how the school is run. And I know that they're doing it for the good, for the common good of the university. So, how about in Ateneo? What is it like there dealing with the management?
In admin naman, parang we're common with admin in the sense that we really look out for students' interests. Parang, I think that's with the value of the University of Pura Personales. At the end of the day, para sino ba naman ng aayaw sa magandang student experience? I think it's a very
That's true.
I think it's a very hurtful process for anyone to hear now. Oh, in this school we don't feel like we're taken care of. Oh, in this school we don't feel like we're heard. Parang who would want to hear those in their freedom walls or in Twitter? Parang that's such a hurtful process for the community if that ever that happens. And that does
I
happen
agree. I agree.
even in Ateneo. Pero parang doon kami common. The approach is we really started with the basic principles of how admin and student engagement, and with student engagement also where the student council stands. No, we have the student Magna Carta, where like in LaSalle, it's really a stipulation of students' rights, and this is something that generations before me and before the current students now have fought for. Batch ata nila Bam Aquino 2001, 2002, yun yung pinaglaban nila. And parang yun, basic rights, seats in the different LS committees which decides basically the specifics of how the school is run. And parang even yung, for example, the guidelines on the dress code, yung basic principle behind the dress code, yung basic principle behind academic freedom and freedom of expression, and even yung number of days before you can give a long test or you can give a final requirement, right to appeal. Lahat yun nandun sa basic principles. I think that's yun yung pinaka-important. Parang you start from somewhere and that's where you take off from. And it's not easy. Kasi parang we revised our Magna Carta starting last year. It ended starting last year. It ended last year, 2019. It really took a full year process to update it with additional rights with regards to, syempre, with more liberal ideas with regards to gender and with regards to protections for everyone. No? Pero parang, again, that's only the basic. Eh. Parang, even when you have the basic, what's next after that? That should be the next question to ask when after you have some basic principles agreed upon. How do we collaborate for common interests for the student body?
That's right.
And especially now na we're all distanced from each other. We're not in the community. We're not on campus. The challenge really is for the administration to reach the students. That's where we find Sanggunian, and that's where we find Ateneo's student council, and I think all student governments essential in fulfilling the role of as a bridge, no, as the coordinator of everyone and as a direct representative of the students. Kasi with everything being new, what we really want is what's best for the students, what's best for the community. Parang it's assured na may hiccups and may mistakes along the way. Pero parang how do we ensure that the students are part of this process? No? Yeah. Parang lately, what we've been doing, really direct collaboration with the administration on seeking out data on how intersession went. Parang ang nangyayari nga, sabay kaming mag-craft ng G-form, tapos yung email blast from the VPLS, which is the Vice President for the Loyola schools. parang, for example, with fees, pinapakita rin sa amin yung magiging breakdown ng student activities fee kasi we plan to lower it down this coming first sem. And we have this Facebook group, parang a member of the university admin just made it. Ngayon mga 4,000 to 3,000 members na ata. Then we just exchange thoughts on what's happening with online learning right now. What are the best ideas? What seems to go wrong and what can be improved. Again, parang engagement with admin. Yes, it's a formal channel, pero parang it should be organic in a sense that it's real based on what the students are experiencing and what the community is experiencing. Kasi at the end of the day naman, admin and the student government, there should be one common interest, which is the students. And this students' interest shouldn't be mutually exclusive with the interests of faculty and the interests of administration. Kasi at the end of the day, Ateneo, Salle, UA&P, or UP, or any other university, parang these are learning institutions. So parang
That's true.
Sino ba yung pinapahalagahan natin? Siyempre, yung students.
And for UP, parang matapat din ba yung yung administration sa student council? Like, give us an insight on how it's like in UP.
Actually, parang first of all, sobrang nakakainggit kasi yung Magna Carta.
Wow.
I mean, for me, I don't know if we have that, but then like, it's really, kailangan talaga. I think in every institution, kailangan yun. Galing. Sorry, go ahead.
Actually, yung Students Magna Carta, matagal na siyang na-initiate. Nagkaroon ng, as in sobrang dami ding problems before, even among the ranks ng students. Which is, in a way, we tried to resolve them starting last year. Kasi gusto namin na talagang united front yung students about this issue. Kasi nga, students' rights yung pinag-uusapan dito, and it's one avenue for us to safeguard it. Siyempre, beyond pa dun sa mga usual na ginagawa ng council. Pero anyway, yung regarding dun sa connection with the administration, actually, parang kanina ko pa sinasabi yung like historical stuff about UP. Kasi medyo, like, that's usually how I look into matters na nangyayari pa ulit-ulit. Like, I usually consult with people who were there before, ganyan. And then, one thing naman na I think common even before pa sa history ng UP is meron talagang nakatatak na brand dapat na yung student council ay una, it serves the students. So dapat hindi siya maging mouthpiece ng administration. So that's one. Second is throughout the history of student councils in UP, marami nang naging attempts to curtail yung kung ano man yung ginagawa nila genuinely for the students. And sometimes, nanggagaling pa yun sa mismong administration. For example, sa UP system, merong tinatawag na student regent. So si student regent ay part ng highest decision-making body, which is the Board of Regents. So throughout the history of the Office of the Student Regent, marami ng times na inattempt ng administration na gamitin yung mga powers niya para mawalan ng student representation sa Board of Regents, especially during times of critical matters. Kunyari, may selection ng ganitong administrator and ayaw pa upuin si student regent kasi opposition voice. And actually, we don't call it opposition voice kasi that's the real voice. They just don't want to hear it. Pero, yun, may mga ganong cases. And kunyari sa student council naman, meron na din talagang mga kumbaga, for me on how we interpret it, the very fact na merong defunding ng student institutions, it's an attack to our right to organize. Kasi yung student councils, parang they're at the forefront of doing things for the students, yet we defund them. Bakit? Kasi they're the critical ones, they're the ones who actually present what the needs of the student body are. So, kaya nangyayari ay talagang syempre andun yung opposition and may mga heated arguments talaga as what they've mentioned earlier. Pero andun kasi ako at least sa mga previous mentors ko sa council because I'm in the USC na for magti 3 years na. And yung mga past mentors ko din, coming from different political parties, coming from different fronts, yung mga greatest sa kanila ay talagang sinasabi sa akin paulit-ulit yung power of unity, especially with key issues. Kasi lagi namang ang ine-establish dapat with the administration ay yung points of unity na dapat clear. For example, point of unity ay dapat yung students' rights and welfare, hindi yan mawawala. Even in this setup na may pandemya. Tapos, meron din namang points of unity na kunyari yung condemnation sa Marcos burial, condemnation sa anti-terror law. Yung mga ganung bagay, yun yung mga points of unity na dapat pitpit. Ngayon, meron talagang clear divisions na, for example, sa policy. Kasi anong nangyayari, kahit sabihin natin na may nakaupong student representative sa select committees at least, ay meron talagang merong sometimes yung administration na feel nila na ito yung tama, when honestly it's not. For example, yung issue nyo with the dress code, they feel like it's the good thing na gawin kasi para sa kanila, for your future yan, if tama yung pagkakalala ko sa binanggit mo earlier. Pero, sa totoo lang, yung ganong perspective, nanggagaling siya sa posisyon na malayo sa estudyante. It's very detached. Kasi nga, no matter how loud the voice is ng mga students, and kahit merong student representative, meron talagang mga cases na talagang they really want to assert their position. Kaya talagang magkakaroon ng ipitan. And sometimes umaabot sa point na nagiging anti-student talaga yung administration. And we dare say that they are anti-student sa mga ilang bagay. Dahil naman yun parang dapat parte yun ng pagiging part ng isang academic institution, 'di ba? Yung collegiality ng different ranks. It's supposed to trump everything else. So kaya yun, parang gano'n naman yung experience. Like merong mga ipitan, pero yun, yung naging, siguro parang this is something na hindi ko masyadong na-share, I guess. Pero yung mantra ko din, kasi parang in my term, ay first time na sobrang daming sabay-sabay na committees formed that the USC was suddenly part of. Like, different revision committees of different policies, different staple committees. So, ang busy talaga, pero at the same time, nandun yung opportunity to build unities na parang even the administrators whom you talk to lang saglit, di ba? It really helps. So, malaki yung ambag ng mga unities na yon. Pero syempre, keeping in mind na hindi na dapat yung word for it is uncompromising. Dapat uncompromising yung student council with the administration. Kahit sabihin natin na liaison siya between the two, kailangan uncompromising siya na ako yung nasa gitna yung dalawa, pero ang dala-dala ko ay yung mga estudyante.
Yeah, that's true. Now, our discussion is getting quite lengthy, and I know that there's so much more to talk about. But moving forward and wrapping up this discussion with our guests, what would your advice be to incoming student leaders, be it in your university or for UA&P, or in general? So this can be a short advice lang if you want. Go ahead. Maybe we can start with JB.
Yeah. I think my advice lang to the incoming USG of UA&P, and I guess any student government and student government officers, and even any student in general.
Yeah, in general.
If we really want to serve the students and we really want to get their agenda and our voice, our agenda across the university and even in this country, parang the key here really is to know the actors. Parang, sorry if it's a political term, pero parang
Go ahead.
at the end of the day, may maraming actors na gumaganap sa isang lipunan or sa isang society. And it's important to know which political actors are in play. Kasi at the end of the day, students don't exist on an island or in a bubble. Parang there are many interactions that take place. Kaya ganito yung policy, kaya ganito na aapektuhan yung students. Sometimes it's good, pero a lot of times it's bad. And that's what we want to avoid at the end of the day. Kasi what's important to us is the students, and what's important to us is that our fellow students get what they deserve. Kasi we're at this phase of our life that we're preparing for our future, and it doesn't make sense if what we're learning is this junk from how we're being treated or from how others are treating us, no? So parang at the same time, it's really important to know the students and where they're coming from. It's important to note that what your views are right now may not be their views because of the diversity and because of the differences of where we're coming from. So it's really important to gather data. Data in a sense na you get a general overview of where the different people are coming from. Pero parang at the end of the day, what's really important is empathy. Lance has repeated that over this podcast. Empathy, because at the end of the day, the data, they're just numbers. Pero parang what we need to understand is behind each number, there's a specific human narrative that we need to see. And that's where we should be rooted in with regards to really fighting for and working for in student government and in any, I guess, organization in general. Kasi parang organizations, we organize members. We don't organize robots, we organize hearts and we organize minds with narratives, no? So parang in anything that the student government does, whether organizing events, projects, dealing with administration, or holding the line or taking a stance, what's important is to show these human narratives. Kasi most often than not, ito yung nakakalimutan na with any emotion that we try to impart. Parang ano ba talaga yung nararanasan na naratibo at bakit natin tinutulak yung pagbabago.
Yeah.
Yun yung, the why is really the people we're fighting for.
Thank you, JB. And Sean, what's your advice for the incoming set of leaders?
Siguro ano lang, short lang naman. Parang it's always, it's gonna be hard. It's always gonna be hard because it's representing thousands of students across the whole university. So you always have to keep in mind that you're representing those students and you always have to carry their best interests. You always have to be uncompromising. You always have to be fierce because, at this time, with this political climate, inside and outside of our universities, it's high time for the student councils to step up and to realize that speaking out and doing something as a council should not actually scare you, even if rules that bind you from doing such are existent, because students, if they are rallying behind you, they can actually help in safeguarding your institution and advancing your interest as students.
Thank you, Sean. And again, last but not the least, we have Lance.
Three things. No, one is make sure that as student representatives, you need to make sure that everyone is included in the decisions that you make, because not everyone will get to speak to the administration, will get to hear, will get to voice out their concerns. So they put a great amount of trust into you. So ensure that you have this ability to empathize with your fellow students, and to try and make sure that you try to put yourself in their shoes, in the shoes of the person who got sexually harassed, and in the shoes of someone who got disqualified from running from Latin honors, in the shoes of a scholar who doesn't have enough to pay for the daily meals that he needs or she needs to survive in his or her stay in university. That's number one. Number two is that you will there will be many times that you'll be placed in the negotiating table. You'll be negotiating with the faculty, with the administration, different sectors, and you compromising is inevitable. but you should choose where you compromise. And things that you can compromise, go ahead. But on matters of principle, don't. It's your responsibility to stand your ground and to assert what the right thing to do is. The third thing is that you need to always stay level-headed with everything that you do. Because well, you only have well, we're blessed enough. Kami ni Sean, we're blessed now. We have more than a year to do the things that we want to, but chances are you have less than a year. So make sure that the promises that you make, the platform that you craft during your campaign, it's realistic and it's achievable within a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And before we officially end this podcast, I would like to thank all three of you for taking the time and effort to join me today in discussing what the USG is really about. So thank you. And for those watching, thank you also for making it through the podcast. And that's it for today, folks. Hope you can like, share, and comment down below your thoughts, because this is discussion after all. So this discussion room 95, and hope to see you on another episode. Bye!
Hey, if you want to check the rest of our content, see our Facebook and Instagram links in the caption, go click that. Or if you want to go down to our Spotify page below to keep up with the discussion while doing your chores or with whatever else you're preoccupied with. Is there something else you want us to talk about though? Comment down below and we'll make sure to hear you out. But thanks again, and here's to the next.